All right, we're all set.
Okay, Happy New Year, everybody. Hello, 2021. Have we been waiting for you? So we're going to talk about a little bit about last year's market, a little bit about this year's market. My name is Deborah Lucci, and I run the Deborah Lucci team from William Ravis Realtors. And with me today, we have Mackenzie Cormier, Nicole Leahy, and Diana Silver, and they're all team members. And just want to do a little bit about some market predictions. The first thing I think we'd like to go over is some stats. And so we're going to go over two things: the median price of different towns and the average price. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between the average price and the median price. So one of the problems with the average price is that one or more of the properties were sold as an extraordinarily high or low price. So this could kind of skew the pricing a little bit. The average is skewed higher or lower as a result. The median sale price, on the other hand, is the sale price in the middle of the data set when you arrange all the sale prices from low to high. So those are some of the things we're going to go over. So I just kind of wanted to go over some stats about our area that we sell in mostly. And if we look at Andover, the difference between 2019 and 2020, the average sale price is up 11.86%. The median price is up 9.33%. In Andover last year, we sold 300. This is everyone, all the inventory on the market. 391 houses sold. The list to sell ratio, so that means all the realtors, their list to sell ratio for all the homes that sold in Andover was 101%. So that means it sold 1% over the list price. In North Andover in 2019, in comparison to 2020, the average price went up 13.5%, and the median price went up 14.3%. In North Reading, also in North Andover, 251 houses sold, and the list to sell ratio was 102%. In North Reading, and this is very interesting because these numbers are very, very different. This is why I wanted to go over the difference between the average and the median price. The average price difference between 2019 and 2020 is 2.91%. The difference in the median price is 21.63%. So the units that sold last year, the number of homes in North Reading, 171 homes, and the list to sell ratio in North Reading is 101%. So I just wanted to go over those quickly. One of the things I also wanted to go over, because this is where the majority of the buyers are coming from, we've kind of figured that out from when offers are coming in, is Boston. So if you look at the number of units on the market right now, at this time last year, there was 685 units. At this time, there's 1,161. So these buyers are coming out of the Boston market and they're coming out to the suburbs, which is a great opportunity if you're a seller right now. The average price in Boston from last year to this year went down 3.83%. The median price went up 2.31%. They sold over 5,000 homes, and the list to sell ratio is 99%. So I just found those numbers extremely interesting. So this is a great time if you want to buy or sell, because the interest rates are very low, and right now the inventory is very tight, so which is great for sellers. And it may not be that way all the way through the year. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to kind of give you a little bit of our stats. Last year, we sold as a team 148 homes. We did $108 million worth of sale volume. We're number one in Massachusetts for William Ravis, and we're number one in the Andovers. So that's our stats. So why do you think we're seeing this surge in home values?
So I actually have, you know, everyone's talking about the real estate market and how hot it is, but I think it's important for them to understand why we're seeing the surge in home values. Everyone in the real estate bubble, like realtors, loan officers, everybody, everybody knows why. But for the average person saying, "Oh, hey, Nicole, the real estate market's hot. What's going on?" Especially during, a worldwide pandemic. Why are we seeing this? So, I kind of broke it down into two simple reasons why. Obviously, number one is we're seeing record low mortgage rates, and everyone keeps talking about the mortgage rates. But I mean, when you're seeing mortgage rates in the twos, that's going to bring an influx of buyers. So even with, even with increased home values, the low rates are going to give these buyers major purchase power, keeping them active in the market, even if they're not finding anything within the first couple of months, 6 months, a year. They're still, they still know in the back of their mind that they can afford more of a house and more of their dream house than they could before. I just recently have a client that locked in. It was a 15-year. I think it was like 2.2%. So they're basically, these buyers are borrowing money for free. So, like I said, it's taking in a huge influx of buyers. And then again, with rates in the twos or threes, even, to the first time home buyers, the upgraders, the renters. Renters can purchase a home, build equity, and most likely pay less than when they were renting to begin with. So it's almost a no-brainer for them. So yeah, the influx of buyers is number one, and that is due to the mortgage rates. Now, on the flip side, the reason why we're seeing the surge in home values is, like Deb said, there's a shortage of inventory. Why are we seeing an inventory shortage? Well, for starters, I read a Forbes article, and it talked about how people are staying in their houses longer now. And this article said that 55% of homeowners are over 50 years old now. So 50 years or older. So, people aren't downsizing the way they used to, clearly. So that's causing it. And then, again, going back to the pandemic, people are feeling lots of uncertainty right now with the economy, with their job. So it's causing potential sellers to stay put and hold off on, listing their homes until there's more stability. Um, in the pandemic on the buy side, in addition to the low rates, these buyers, they're all, there's new demand to move. So, people who are renting or people who live in town, they want more space, they want more land, they aren't commuting to Boston, they're working remotely now. So, they want that extra space and they want to be home in a larger home. So again, that's influx of buyers. But you know, this is basically a classic case of supply and demand. I mean, you'll hear that a million times if you Google it or whatever, but, buyers want a house and there's not enough houses to purchase. So those are the two main points, is the low inventory and in the mortgage rates. There are too many buyers to keep up with the amount of houses available. So buyers are negotiating a better deal on a house. They they aren't negotiating a better deal on a house. They're actually competing for the house and overbidding. So, Deb, you've been in this business for years and years. There's a time where you're constantly negotiating, with the listing agent, trying to get your buyer a better deal. Now you can't, there's no room for that. Now you're basically just crossing off contingencies and going in at as much as you possibly can afford. That's off the table.
So it's funny. I'm kind of laughing as you're talking about this because, I love my children dearly. Okay. But I would not want them living with me all the time. So I'm wondering, right now, a lot of kids have come back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm wondering at the end of all this, if the parents might actually help them buy something to kind of move them along a little bit. So
I was actually going to touch on
get out of the house.
And let's say that, like, for example, I'm in my young 20s and my two younger sisters are both still in college. Like, we're all home right now. And all of my friends, like, that were renting in the city, we've all come back to home because there's no reason for us to be in the city right now. I mean, being in real estate, obviously we're trying to do as much as we can remote, but we still are going out to see our clients, and we're being safe about everything with the virus and making sure to get tested and all that stuff. But most of my friends are working from home through 2021. So why would they pay rent when, they're still getting paid and they can save some money to live at home? But that's that Nicole had in there from that Forbes article about 55% of homeowners are 50 years old and they're not moving. I think that's a lot of the reason why they still need the space and they aren't ready to downsize, because their kids are coming home and they don't want to not have a place for them to come home to at the end of the day.
I think they've been home long enough now, and I think when things change a little bit, that may change too.
Yeah.
I'm just predicting here.
So now I'm going to move into kind of based on what the experts are saying. Here's what we're forecasting for the 2021 housing market. And so a lot of the momentum in 2020 is going to carry through to 2021. So interest are expected to remain at historic lows, around 3%. There will continue to be low inventory, and high buyer demand will keep prices surging. The competition between buyers is going to continue to be fierce. So buyers should definitely be prepared to act fast and be ready to write up a strong offer as soon as they see something that they want hit the market, or if they're working with an agent. A lot of agents know ahead of time before something is hitting the market. In addition to that, the market's going to continue to tip in the favor of sellers this year. And as sellers start to feel more comfortable about the economy, the vaccine rollout, and just the virus, and as the cases start to hopefully go down, they'll begin to put their homes on the market. In addition to that, we're going to see home buyers continue to buy homes in the suburbs as they hunt for more space and search for homes that have rooms for work from home or office spaces, kind of a more flexible floor plan. And they will be less concerned about a commute because most are work from home. And lastly, I think that 2021 is going to end up being an even stronger market than 2020. There are a couple of predictions saying that the first half of 2021 may be stronger than the second half, or vice versa. Now I am still seeing it be crazy insane what we saw in 2020. We actually just had our sales meeting yesterday, and I found out that a few homes in Linfield that are priced over $1 million were going $177,000 over the asking price and $250,000 over the asking price, with everything waived.
And those houses, Mackenzie, I believe they said were in the $1 million plus range as it was.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just
Somebody actually just asked me that too. They were like, are there bidding wars with these houses that are, $1 million plus? And I was like, I wouldn't say bidding wars, but there's multiple, it's a multiple offer situation. This isn't we're not seeing just one offer roll in even on these big ticket houses.
Yeah.
That's funny, because when we looked at the list to sell ratio the other day in the towns we were looking in, and the higher priced homes from last year, they weren't hitting that 1% list to sell ratio.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be affecting them.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as Deb had mentioned earlier, we talked about kind of like where people are coming from. Now we're kind of talking about who's looking to buy, like who are the people? So they're coming from Boston, but who are they? So most of the research has found, and what I've been dealing with, is a lot of millennials. So it's millennials in two different group ranges. We've got the early millennials. It's, the reason I guess I should start is like why it's the millennials is because they're hitting that prime age. They're getting married. Now it's time for them to have kids, and they want some more space. So the older millennials, the oldest millennials of the group, will be turning 40 this year. So the younger generation is at the end of the generation. They'll be 25. They'll be turning 25 at this year. So, the older millennials will be those families or couples or individuals that are going to be the trade up buyers, meaning that they've already purchased a home before. So they already have that equity. They already can put that money when they go and sell their current home. They can now put that money towards a down payment, which is huge. We're seeing in all different situations, it is so competitive. Sometimes 20% down isn't even cutting it, which is like it. I haven't seen it before. I don't know if Deb, you've seen it, but people are putting, 40% down.
I've even seen people, and I'm not suggesting everybody does this, I leave that up to their mortgage broker, but I've seen people actually finance 90% of a home's value and cross out the finance contingency.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's something that they've got to talk to their agent, their mortgage broker, their family about. But I think that the market is so strong that this is what some of these buyers feel that they have to do to get their offer accepted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's funny though that the larger amount of the buyers from the younger segment of the millennial generation it's really going to be the key years for them because it's their first time home buying. So yes, we're seeing them get outbid. Yes, we're seeing all these things, but by working with a realtor, there's a lot of creative ways that we can work and get their offer accepted. It doesn't necessarily have to be the highest is going to win. So like Deb said, waiving certain contingencies. So the lower mortgage rates, like Nicole had mentioned, those are definitely going to help these first-time home buyers, this millennial group. And then experts predict those in the Gen Z, those are the buyers that are 24 and younger. All these different terms, and I'm like, oh, all different. Like who's in what group? Those are going to be who are 24 and younger in 2021, and they'll continue their initial search and attempt. But it's going to be very difficult for that, generation because they don't have the equity. They don't have the money to put a deposit down. And it's funny that you said that, Deb, about you wonder if parents are going to help because that would be the generation that the parents are like, okay, enough living in my house. Now it's time for you to be out on your own. So I'll be curious
to see. Down payment.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is a gift to you to leave our nest.
Well, I think with my daughter, I helped my daughter out a few years ago, and she would not be able to afford her mortgages, including condo fee, is $1,100 a month. So she would not be able to afford that without living with someone else. And she's built up, almost $100,000 worth of equity. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win. So you don't have to have like a guilty conscience about it. They'll be fine. You can help them out, and it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So
I also think like if people's parents are willing to do that and help them out, and if they have that option, I think that it's a really great time to actually buy in the city because I think that hopefully when the pandemic ends and things start to get back to normal, the city will bounce back. Not to say that won't happen with the suburbs, but I mean, the reversal was supposed to be in a few years of that trend shifting. A lot of people were going into the city and it was almost 10 years, but it ended up being earlier because the pandemic sort of pushed people out and they wanted more space. So I think that the city will come back. Young people will want to end up being there. And I think that the demand will still be high there, even though right now it doesn't seem like it. And the demand is definitely in the suburbs. I think that it actually is a very good opportunity to buy in Boston right now because of how much inventory there is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because I'm working with a couple sellers. And, they're trying to, they're in their mid 30s. So, Diana, you were talking about, the different age groups, early to mid 30s. But, he is a homeowner and he wants to capitalize on the market. A lot of people are like, maybe I shouldn't sell because of A, B, and C. But in reality, there's never been a better time to be a seller. Right. So he's actually really smart. He's capitalizing on the market. He sold his house. And he wants to find, a bigger house. He wants to upgrade, but, he's actually renting in Boston right now because the rents are cheaper. So he's got this beautiful rental in Boston while he's looking for a home, so there's none of that added pressure. And now he's lined his pockets because he capitalized on the seller's market. So it's really smart. And, a lot of these sellers and buyers are pretty savvy and are making smart decisions too with the way the market is.
Yeah, I have a friend that's doing the exact same thing. Lives in Somerville.
How old are they, Diana?
He's in his, I hate to say that we're in our late 30s, but it's true. So
You're in the prime of your life.
yeah, right. The late 30s, but he doesn't have to move, but because exactly that, he wants to take advantage of the seller's market. And it's like, well, why wouldn't I do that right now? And people are spending crazy amount of money for Somerville. I mean, he's right off of 93. He's right near Assembly Row. There's so many, great aspects of where he is. And when you do get to go back and commute into the city, you're right there. So it's kind of a win-win. And he has a backyard, which is key for buyers right now.
So I just want to elaborate on a point Mackenzie brought up, which I thought was really good. So Mackenzie, you picked out a great window for the 20-year-olds. Okay. So I remember when I was selling my little condo in Boston, and that was hitting the market for $775, and had parking in the north end, the whole thing.
Yep.
And my daughter's little condo, I bought a condo for her while she was in UMass, and hers was on the market. Hers was about $450, and I swore to God mine was going to sell first. I had parking; it was in better shape, elevator building. I mean, they were fighting over her unit at $450, because what it is when these schools come back and people, the younger people start coming back, this is the price point that they're going to be looking at. So if these 20-year-olds now can invest in any type of condo, it doesn't have to be big, a smaller condo in Boston, and enjoy the city at this time of their life, they could make big bucks 4 or 5 years down the road. I think that is a great investment for them right now. And so one of the things that that I encounter all the time is I deal with sellers most of the time, and I deal with a lot of downsizers. So one of the things that my people worry about a lot is, where am I going to go? Mm-hmm. So especially in my age group, where you don't have a lot of times a lot of responsibility. You don't have the small children, the dog, the cat, the bird, the whole thing to move. It's just usually, just the two of you. And, it's almost like you're in your 20s again, only you're a little bit older. It's almost the same responsibility. So I say to my people, where are you thinking about going? I mean, wouldn't you like to try Newburyport, try Boston? Mm-hmm. So rent temporarily. So, some of the things that there's a lot of temporary housing out there. If you wanted to go into Boston, they're negotiating rents like left and right in beautiful buildings. So you could do that. There's somebody I know that was always questioning Newburyport, and she's doing an Airbnb rental for months. So yeah. She's right on Plum Island. And instead of like wondering, should I buy a Newburyport and I'm not sure I'm going to like this, rent for a while. And that way you take a huge advantage of this seller's market right now. Mm-hmm. So it's a great thing. I mean, and, I think buyers are willing to be more negotiable than they were before. So you could actually maybe sell your place, and if you're not really sure, do a rent back situation for a little while. You could also put your house on the market subject to you finding suitable housing. People will only wait so long. They're not going to wait a year, but I think that they'd be more flexible than they were before. But I think we're going to continue to see bidding wars. And I do think for sellers, I do think it's extremely important that you have your house on in excellent condition, mm-hmm. Because I think the younger generation, the millennials, they don't have the time and they don't want to update the house, and they're very visual. So if you can have the house in good shape, and it's not saying you have to, go through and gut everything to have it done, but if you can have this house in good shape, I offer a pre-home inspection when we list property because I want to make sure that the house is not going to come back on the market, that there's things that we know about, we can get them fixed ahead of time. And come on early before the competition does. Because I think as this pandemic and the vaccine rolls out,
Yeah.
I think you're going to have more and more inventory come on the market. And I don't know what's going to happen next month. I don't know what's going to happen 3 months from now. But I do know now the inventory is so tight. And if you do it right as a seller, you will probably end up with more money for your home than you probably ever dreamed of.
Right.
So I just think the timing is perfect if you're a seller. And, with the way things go, who knows what's going to happen? We saw what happened yesterday on the news. There's so many uncertainties with things. But I think right now the timing is absolutely perfect. And I think as the 2021 rolls out, the later half of the year, I think there's going to be more inventory come on. And I think that, it's basic supply and demand. I mean, the more inventory that comes on, the more the buyers have to choose from. So I think from a seller's point of view, I think there is an urgency. And I think that really think about it. And if you're wondering where you're going to go, there are options to think about and to cash in on this unbelievable market right now. So one of the things that, we're wondering about the new administration, what effects it's going to have on the market. They're predicting that the interest rates may rise next year. So I think 2021 is an optimum time to buy as well. I think that it's a perfect time. I mean, if you really think about it, these interest rates may never be this low again. So this is a prime opportunity. If you are thinking about moving to a larger home, it's the perfect time to do it. And if you're a seller looking to downsize, it's a perfect time to do it. So I think 2021 is going to be a banner year. I'm looking forward to it. I think we did really well last year, but I think I'm glad to be selling in the suburbs right now. So also, I want to just tell everybody we have a new TV commercial coming out. It's going to hit, I think it's going to be the middle of January when Joanna Gaines' show comes on. Did you hear about her new show? Okay. So, have you heard about it yet?
No.
Okay. So this is interesting stuff. All right. So I just was talking to Comcast today, and they've got a new, what did she say to me it was? I just heard about it. It's a new channel that's coming out.
Oh, is that have something to do with like Magnolia?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Magnolia Table.
Okay.
Like that's her whole thing.
Right. So I saw her cooking the other day. I was watching her. So we're going to be, that part of our advertising is going towards that. And we're going to be streaming those. We're going to have a commercial that's going to hit Comcast here with different channels. And we're going to be streaming into Boston. So we will be able to, the millennials and things like that moving out of Boston will see us.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a brand new billboard coming out right outside the North End near the Greenway and Faneuil Hall. That's going to be hitting mid-February. So we get a lot of good stuff we're excited about, and we're excited about 2021. So we're going to be back again in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about how to sell your property for top dollar in this market. Okay? So I'm Deborah Lucci from William Ravis with Mackenzie Cormier, Nicole Leahy, and Diana Silva. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks on how to sell your house for top dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.